Well, hello there. I'm Imaduck, and you're watching Quack Poker Episode 1. Hi. I'm doing a new series. Some of you guys might remember me from my Magic the Gathering casts I used to do. Maybe. No, probably no Magic fans out there. But anyway, I play poker now. And give you a little background on myself. I've been playing poker for a few years, but really only started to take it seriously about 6 months ago. I play it. I've been playing it online a whole lot, grinding it up on beautiful, juicy steaks here. Juicy steaks, if you don't know, is cake poker, except in the US they call it juicy steaks. And there just aren't any other good poker websites you can play if you don't live in Nevada right now in the US. Anyway, I'm starting a new series. Like I said, I've been grinding it up on this. I've got, 30,000 something hands behind me. I played a lot of 2 cents, 4 cents, grind up my balance a good bit. So now I've kind of moved up to 5 cents, 10 cents, and I'm just working at it, chinking away, trying to see if I can make some things work, get better at it, and work my way up the stakes in the long run. So I want to do a series here where we could share information. I'll share with you how I'm playing, what I'm doing, what I'm thinking, and you'll share with me how much you hate that, or how much you love that, or whatever you're thinking about it. Just whatever you're thinking, whatever's on the top of your head, please let me know if you have questions about how I played a hand, or you don't understand what I meant when I said a certain term, or you just want me to explain some poker concept. I'm here for you. And if you think I'm the worst player ever and I'm the biggest idiot for even thinking about putting myself out there, well, please let me know that too. And I know that you will. So here we are, already starting up. I plan on doing these weekly videos. I want them to be about 30 minutes long. So we'll get to see that. We'll see how this goes. We got a guy opening under the gun. King Jack is not a hand I'm super excited about, but it is something that's fine to open here. I also need to get my HUD started. Jeez, I am just way behind the curve here. All right. King Jack's not a bad hand. We're just going to check it to him and see what he does here. Oh, already mixing up, already not paying attention. All right, I think we can... Actually, I don't think we can value bet on the river here as played. Sorry, I'm skipping through, trying to talk, trying to think at the same time, still getting used to this. Yeah, I think if we had bet there, he would have called us with an ace. So we should have bet. I would have bet normally on an earlier street. I'm sorry about that. I'm just getting too excited about starting this new series. So like I said, I want to do 30-minute videos, just showing you a session. I want to do these maybe once a week. If you guys are really excited about them and you're like, Imaduck, do this for me 5, 6, 7 times a week, I will absolutely do it maybe 2 or 3 times if people are really excited. But I think once a week is probably a good schedule for this. Give you guys time to discuss these hands and think about it and really take it in and all that good stuff. And really, how much of me can you really take? This is the first time, too, that I've done this with video. I don't normally do that. Here in the small blind, I think we just want to complete. This is not an exciting hand, but it's worth completing with. You'll notice here that I am using a HUD, which is these little graphical things here that basically keep track of how I'm playing and how my opponents are playing. This is an interesting flop for us. It's unlikely that either of these guys have a big ace, because neither of them raised. And so we're probably ahead here, but we do have to worry about if somebody has a heart. So I feel like it's worth betting because there's a good chance they're going to call us if they do have a heart, and then we can get some value on the turn or on the river here. He called pretty fast, however, so we're just going to take this slow. I'm going to make a fairly big bet here, again, to punish him if he's on a draw. And we'll see what happens. I should also check what my note is on this fellow here. He donked his first act, bets attention with top pair, bet kicker. Okay. So he called us twice here, which makes it a decent chance he's got an ace, but he also might have a missed draw. At this point, I think it's just worth checking. And I'm just hoping he's going to check it back and show me that he had a missed draw. If he's got a weak ace, fine. If he's got a strong ace, he's going to bet. He could be betting as a bluff here, too. And if he's an aggressive player here, then I might, and I knew that, I might expect that, and maybe could do something else here. But the reality is, with him calling 2 streets already, and with this being lower stakes, you just really don't see too many players being that aggressive. So here I just want to let this hand go. yeah, it was just, I think it's too often that he's just got the ace there. I wasn't very excited going into that hand to begin with, and the only reason I was willing to bet at it at all with that flop, this is a little loose open, but I'm going to open a little. The only reason I was willing to bet at all at that flop was because I wanted to try and push him out or punish him if he was just going to hold on to a drawing hand, which is more likely, I think, than him hitting that board at all. Of course, if he hits the ace, he's just going to call me all three streets. His bet on the end there was a little fishy, but I'm not going to call him down on it. I don't think this guy is quite aggressive enough, at least I don't know enough about him yet, to really put him on doing that sort of thing. Be a bit ballsy there. All right. So, also, I want to talk about every week I will have my beer of the week, or just whatever beer I happen to be drinking. And today I am drinking this beautiful Heart of Darkness Habanero Stout. This is actually something that I got from the Something Awful forum. So if you don't know, that's my home forums. It's Something Awful forums, and it's a recipe I brewed myself. But the recipe actually comes from Backward, and I must say it is an amazing beer. It is the darkest beer I've ever brewed. This is not a optical illusion here or anything like that. No, this is just a black, totally opaque beer. It's got a very nice stouty taste with a nice burn in the aftertaste from the habanero, and it uses smoked malts, so you get a nice smokiness from it. Anywho, that's the beer of the day. Heart of Darkness Habanero Stout. Tell your friends, or really brew it yourself. This is also the last pint of it I have, sadly, out of the 5 gallons I brewed. So sad. I will be brewing that one again soon because I really liked it. All right. So not really any interesting action in that last hand there. We had a bet and a raise and a fold. So not too exciting. Or really a raise, and a fold. Yeah, so what else do I need to tell you guys? So I did have a previous pilot episode to this. So maybe some of you saw that. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to post it to the channel or not. For those of you who did watch the pilot, sorry, I'm going to repeat a few things this first episode. Bear with me. The next episode, you can whatever. But yeah, I just want to talk about my play style a bit, that I tend to be very loose and very aggressive, which I think you do see some loose players, but you don't see too many super aggressive players, I think, at these stakes. I think that kind of makes my play style a little bit different. Jason Somerville, or Jay Carver, Jay Carver Poker, Google it, is my hero, and so I in many ways try to emulate his play, although he's better than me, so he can afford to be looser and more aggressive than I can, because I'm still figuring it out and all that. But I find the loose play style, especially at 2 cent, 4 cent, was just really easy just to run over anybody. Just be super aggressive, and most people will just back down from you at that blind level, is what I found at least. But I think it's also just a lot funner to play when you're playing more hands and you're taking more risks, and that feeling when you make that big bluff, when you know your opponent laid down that big hand, it's fun, it's cool, it's great. So I kind of enjoy this play style here. Here we could call, but what we're going to do instead is fold. Sorry. Obviously, we can't call here. I really shouldn't check the box. You shouldn't check the buttons automatically if you're playing optimally. And I'm only one tabling here, so I really don't have an excuse to check that. This guy's shove here, obviously, is like an overbet. I mean, he's short. I mean, maybe that's okay, but he's not quite short enough to make that work too well, I don't think. I don't know if the math adds up too well there. I mean, he's probably going to have to shove on any flop, I guess, if he doesn't shove pre-flop there, but it depends on how often he's shoving with that. We'll just have to see. We have a note on this guy as well. Fine by far. Checked as pre-flop aggressor, last to act. Okay. So sometimes he's checking with second pair as last to act. And I didn't mention it was multi-way on that. So I probably won't take very many notes during these videos just because it's really hard to cast while taking notes. But I do take notes every now and then. What I'll say about notes is I just kind of, I won't usually make notes about the mundane, normal stuff. I mean, the HUD basically does a good job of keeping track of, what my opponents are doing as far as like normal play goes, and I can just look at that and tell what hands they're opening, so it doesn't really matter so much. But whenever I see something really abnormal, them, open limping, like so, weird, open limping strong hands, or just doing weird things. Here, if I raise, what is this guy going to do? I'm not sure. I think I'm just going to call. If this guy was deeper, I might very well raise him here. It's a little weird looking at his stats to see him just open limp, especially open limp under the gun. Of course, we get a guy in the blinds here doing that. This isn't a super strong hand, but hey, we're on the button. This is kind of iffy again, because this guy is so short that our implied odds aren't great, but I think it's going to be worth seeing a flop here. Catching bottom pair on this flop three-handed is not very exciting at all. And I kind of expect that guy to bet. It's kind of odd this guy didn't bet, but whatever. His c-bet percentage is, lower. Anyway, I'm just going to fold here. I really just can't continue with that because this guy's been so aggressive that there's a good chance he's going to be, really pushing in. So because I wouldn't continue on a board like that, you could really... Oh, sorry. I've got this auto fill up sometimes and I missed that. Because I folded that, you could have made the argument that if I'm going to fold one of my 4 hits, I probably shouldn't be calling on that board. But, if my 10 hit, I would be calling on that board. If I had a flush draw, I'd be calling on that board. If it was a really dry board in my fuller hit, I'd be calling on that board. But I just kind of felt like the way that action went, I couldn't really do anything there. I feel like he's just going to jam on most turns or rivers there, and we're just not going to be able to call it, is kind of my feeling there. We'll go ahead and open here. I do tend to do this min-raise thing, and I've still kind of been debating it back and forth. I feel like it's okay at these stakes, and it lets us see a lot of flops, a lot more hands. You get a lot of people who are still folding to the min-raise, so it's still effective from that sense. This is a little odd, but this guy, because... God, I'm just gonna play super loose today. Is that what's gonna happen here? No, I think I'm just gonna fold. I'm not gonna go too loosey goosey there. It's close there. I could definitely call there. It's actually better to call with like the ace 5 there than the ace 8 or the ace 9, because I at least have the straight draw. So if he's got me dominated, I in theory have some outs or some other equity in that hand. Whereas like ace 8, ace 9, I'm not gonna feel really good with when he's 3-betting me there. This guy's 3-bet percentages too is only 5%. So I'm not. He's got me beat whatever hand he's got there, so I'm not super excited about anything that happens there in that hand, I don't think. So I think the fold's fine. I think Jay Carver would call there. But again, if you're going to call hands like that, you really have to have that skill edge. You're really trying to leverage your post-flop skill edge. And so the more post-flop skill edge you have, the more types of hands like that you can open and all that. We get a walk, yay! Make a note here. No, I'm not. Tends to make a lot of pot-sized bets post-flop on wet or dry boards. Alright, so anyway, if he folds, I'm going to open here. I like to open a lot from the small blind, and especially when we look at this guy here who's playing pretty tight. His steal fold percentage is 100%. That's probably not... Obviously, it's not going to be totally accurate, but... And we are just running into every player just raising us tonight. Again, I don't see any reason to continue with this hand. We can just let it go. Big deal. We lost 20 cents. Moving on. But yeah, I go for this sort of Daniel Negreanu small ball type poker thing where I'm playing a lot of hands. I'm trying to make my pre-flop bets small because I'm really trying to leverage things post-flop. Here, you have to punish the lipper, and obviously we have a solid hand, and we're on the button. There is no reason we should not be raising here. In fact, I'm fine with making the raise even a little bigger, because I feel like this is one of these players who will just call any raise. Now, he's going to prove me wrong and fold, but we'll see here. So I don't feel bad calling. We definitely have the best hand, 90% of the time. Maybe he's got 4s or something like that. But, yeah, we're pretty much smashing his range. Maybe he is just going to fold here. Fine, fold. I don't care. Oh, no. There we go. We get a flop. I could just check it back here. This guy's fold C bet is almost big enough. I feel like we're ahead most of the time here, so there's not really a reason not to bet here. And we'll see what he ends up doing. Maybe he just floats this for no reason. Maybe if the board hit him, of course, obviously, we've got a decent bit of equity in this hand. If our ace or our queen hits, we're certainly good on that board. So, not a big deal. Not a big deal. At that point, we're just betting for, this player, you can already, looking at his stats, and now I'm a little sensitive about talking about stats now after I just saw Jason Somerville talking of bashing HUD so bad and all that. If you don't watch, Jason Somerville does all these, similar videos and all that. Well, similar. I wish I could say my videos would be similar to Jason Somerville's, but they are not. But anyway, he does poker videos. I am going to open here. He does poker videos anyway, and he was bashing HUDs and talking about how he doesn't like statistics and all that kind of stuff. And I can see his point of you can't get everything you need to know from the statistics, and it's looking at stats, and so stats can kind of make you just lazy, and it doesn't tell you about how an individual person might be playing differently on a day-to-day basis, what sort of things they might be doing. Man, we are just getting 3-bet like crazy here. I'd say maybe we need to tighten up, but we're getting 3-bet by all the super tight players. And maybe I've played with these players enough and they know I'm loose and they're just trying to punish me, but I don't think that's what's going on here. I think we're just running into hands and there's nothing we can do about it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on that and see how it goes. If they're 3-betting you a lot, then you probably want to tighten up a bit. You can also maybe limp, depending on who you ask about that. This board I'm not super excited about. And when this guy donk bets here, what does that mean? So I put a note in the past that said he donked as first to act on a 3-handed at least with a6, so with the top pair. So I think for now we're going to fold, but we're going to keep an eye on him and see if he actually balances these donk bets or if he does just donk anytime he has a hand. For the time being, I'm willing to give him credit. On top of that, I was kind of, wondering, that board I'll probably c-bet. I c-bet most boards, but, I'm kind of wary about it because it kind of hits his range. We don't have a huge, if we're behind, the only thing that's really going to improve us is hitting an ace there or getting runner diamonds or something. So, we don't have a ton of equity if we're behind. And, if we're ahead on this board, then we're probably going to be ahead all the way through. So, whatever. Anywho. But I probably still would have c-bet there if he checked to us. But when he donks there, and we already have a note about him donking, donk bets, which I've seen people get this wrong. So what's a donk bet first, in case you don't know? Donk bet is when you were not the pre-flop aggressor, but you are acting before the pre-flop aggressor and you go ahead and bet. And generally, it's considered a very bad play. It's considered a bad play, in general because, you can expect that the pre-flop aggressor is going to c-bet most of the time, is basically the idea. And so, if your pre-flop aggressor is going to c-bet most of the time, then you can call that c-bet if you already have a hand. At the same time, if you're trying to bluff him off a hand and he has a hand, you're just giving away information, basically, when you start making that bet. Or if you have a hand and he doesn't have a hand, you're just giving away information to him. So, there are a lot of people who have talked about, when should you be donking and all that, and there are books that talk about maybe there are certain times where it's good to donk, but most of the time it's just a bad idea. You're just giving away information when you don't need to, and especially if you do have a hand, then you're probably going, if you already do have a hand, then you're probably going to lose value by donking because people are often just going to fold to you. If you don't have a hand, then you are just giving information away, and people will figure that out pretty quickly, and then they'll just know, oh, that means you don't have a hand, and they'll just, raise you every time. So, in that situation in particular, if our read is correct that he only donks when he has a hand, then all we have to do is, okay, he donk bet. Okay, did we have a hand? No, we didn't. Well, he's probably ahead of us. Do we have enough equity in this hand to continue? No, we don't. All right, we'll just fold then. and we can make our decisions. It makes our decisions a whole lot easier and a whole lot better if that's what he's telling us. If he's balancing that play, meaning sometimes he's doing it with made hands and sometimes he's not, that's not ideal, but that's at least better than just doing it one way. And so if he's balancing that play, we should hopefully be able to figure it out as we play against him, as we see more hands against him and all that. So really now it's just something to keep an eye on. And, with a lack of information, I'm going to trust what little notes I have. And, there's really no reason for us to continue in that hand anyway. And again, it's not like we've seen him donk every single hand or whatever. So that's donking. That's why I did that. If it folds us here, I will open with a suited ace. Suited ace with a possible draw. It's a connector. We're good. Possible straight draw, I mean. What you got for me? Fine by far. And of course, looking around all these players, we've played with all these players before. The two to the left of us. Jeez. Okay, so this is the third time he's 3-bet us. Wow. This is interesting. This is probably one of the situations where I have a hole in my game where I'm not 100% sure what all I should be doing here. I think I have to call just given the pot odds at this point. But I think, if an ace comes down, I really can't do anything. If any of them are, betting at all, I have to fold because, better aces make up a bigger part of their range than I do. Obviously here, we've got nothing. He's betting, he's calling, we're just folding. We're done. We're done with this hand. I think it was obviously, I think it was still worth the call. The price was just too good. Our pot odds were too good that, if we've got a draw or whatever there, we can be in a lot of money and all that great stuff. And again, we still do have this issue here. Well, we would have made it straight, although there's no way we're going to make it all, betting 2 streets with this crap. What was I saying? Oh, so I'm not going to explain implied odds if you don't know what that is. I don't know what the level of the people watching this is going to be. If you want me to explain implied odds sometimes, I can talk about them and all that. But obviously, because this guy's a short stack, our implied odds could become a little bit worse. And so that changes what you want to be opening with, and it's something to be aware of. But anyway, that's that. All right. Well, that would not be the hands I would have guessed those guys are showing up with. This is worth keeping in mind that this guy who's been 3-betting us a lot was 3-betting us with hands like pocket sixes, which is not a very strong hand and typically a hand you just want to call with. But you can 3-bet that sometimes, but you shouldn't be doing it all the time. And he already has, I think like 3 times this session already 3-bet us. This guy with the 9s, that's a totally fine call with the 9s there. And then this guy was very aggressive with the 6s. Of course, he hit the trips here, so yeah. All right, where are we at? All right, so we hit this flop here. Our villain here has a fold C-bet percentage of 71%, which basically makes it profitable to bet any flop. On top of that, I'm betting this flop pretty much 100% time regardless. He calls, but what does he really have that he hit? Does he have ace-jack in this situation? He didn't 3-bet us. He's been 3-betting us with this other shit. I'm going to fire one more barrel here and see what he does. Now, this guy may just have had enough. He's played enough hands with me now that he thinks he knows how loose and aggressive I am, and he's just going to call with whatever he can. Here, I think, is just a good time to give up. I could really jam it here. What is he? I'm really confused about what his hand could be. If he's just got some random suited jack or random suited hand. This is really close. I am going to make a pretty gutsy bet here, and we're just going to see what happens. Because... Oh, okay. Well... All right. So that hand. So sorry about that. Not by sorry about that. I think my play wasn't too wrong there. All right. So about that hand. I certainly put that kind of in his range. It's just I'm surprised he didn't raise me on the turn at all in that hand with that made flush. I'm really surprised he didn't raise me there because he's got kind of a weak made flush as well, so he definitely should be raising there. But I mean, he knows I'm very aggressive, and I might keep betting into him and all that. I mean, that really went fairly optimally towards for him, and it was good for him to just call on the river instead of raise. I think there because at that point he has to worry about me having a better flush or whatever and all that. I think my play there was fine though, because I just felt like there were a lot of hands where this guy might be a bit sticky and just calling me, but he's got to fold by the river. He might be folding a lot he's going to fold any 8 or any 2 with that bet on the river or any 9. He's going to fold a lot of his draws. This is a pretty drawy board. And he's going to fold some jacks as well, I think. So I don't feel too bad about that bet on the river. We just ran into a big hand. And I mean, it was certainly a hand I was thinking was okay, maybe he's got the flush here. But again, I was a little surprised that he didn't raise on that turn there. And if I were making notes, I would definitely make some notes about that hand. But you guys can comment, tell me what you think. I mean, that was kind of a bigger, aggressive move. It's not really the type of move that you need to be making at these stakes to be profitable, I don't think. But I feel like it is a profitable move to make there. And I don't feel too bad about that play. I think if you looked at the full range of his hands of where he would make those 2 calls like that, if we're thinking he is kind of one of these sticky players, then whatever. Granted, my reads have been kind of not great so far in this session. We've just been losing every single hand, so whatever. But we'll see. You can't get too upset over that. We're not, and I don't think we're down that much. I think I might be down half a buy-in now. Yeah, I'm down. Well, let me call this. I don't want to hold these guys up. Now my HUD's screwed up. No. Anyway, yeah, I think we're down about half a buy-in here is what it looks like. So, whatever. We'll go ahead and call here on the button. Obviously, we got position. We've got a solid hand. No reason not to call. Granted, his range is pretty tight, but I still think it's fine. I don't see any reason not to bet this. I mean, this hits our range more than it hits his range, I think. I think the only reason not to bet that hand there. Now, the question is, I think I'm just going to check give up on this. That 3 is not the best turn card for us. I'm putting him now on either like ace, good ace or a pocket pair. I don't think he's folding a pocket pair at this point. So, yeah. Oh, and he's got exactly ace jack, and he didn't want to bet at all after that flop. Yeah, so yeah, we're not winning that hand no matter what we do there. I think if we open jam the flop, we're not winning that hand there. Yeah, so yeah, we're not winning that hand there. I don't think the c-bet was bad though. I think he's folding most of his hands. I think that's like one of the few hands in his range that really hits. The problem is when that 3 came on the turn, and I can pull up that hand in case you've forgotten already what happened. The problem is when that 3 came up on that turn, I mean, what hand am I really representing? I could represent ace-jack, maybe, except no, I wouldn't raise him with ace-jack, but he might think I might. But it doesn't even matter, of course, because he actually had ace-jack. But ignoring that, thinking of the entire range of hands he has, when that 3 comes, I've got to worry about, okay, what is he floating with? What is he calling with there? What is he going to fold? I mean, that 3 just makes it look like I've got such a narrow range of hands that could have actually hit that board that he's just got to keep calling me if his hand really did hit, which it probably did if he didn't fold on that flop. So I think my c-bet was fine. I think... And obviously, we, after that c-bet, we lost the minimum. So you could say we played it optimally in that sense. A little surprising he didn't bet on any of the later streets, at least on the river or whatever. He could have made like a value bet to try and pick me up if I have some small pair. Maybe not worth it once that king comes out, but yeah, I don't know. I think, I mean, his play was probably fine, but I would certainly play that more aggressively, I think. Here, we're just going to limp. Of course, this guy's been punishing limps a lot, so we're going to see what he does. Yeah, he's been, a lot more aggressive pre-flop than his stats would tell us. Here he goes again. Here I'm just going to fold. I don't care. I'm out of position with a shitty hand. And, oh, by the way, this is not a profanity-free pod or profanity-free cast. So, if you don't like profanity, I try not to use it a lot. I try not to overuse it, but I will use it. Anywho, yeah, I mean, we just had a crappy hand. We had a crappy hand out of position. Even though the pot odds were good there, I would sooner just fold that. All right. Obviously raising. Yeah, so this has been a pretty piss-poor session for us, although I don't think we've been playing poorly. I hope if there are people, I think most of the season players, well, maybe. I mean, you guys can comment on how you think I've been playing, but I think most of the season players will kind of look at this and go, okay, yeah, it just wasn't a very exciting session in general. If you're not a seasoned poker player, you just have sessions like this where things just aren't really coming together. Of course, here things are coming together. This guy leads out, and we remember our read before was that means he's got a hand. I'm just going to do a small raise here against his lead out. I could probably make that bigger, but I'm interested to just see what he does here. Just kind of testing the water. Obviously, it's a good turn card for us. I think we have to bet here. I mean, we could check. So, when he checks there, I think it shows he's kind of afraid of that, and he's maybe giving up, and he will probably give up to a bet here. I'm going to make it a smallish bet. Okay, and he bets back at us. That bet back at us, I think, just means he's on a draw, but he could have us beat with a better flush. But I don't know. At this point, I think all we can do is really call it down. That's kind of a scary bet on the river here. But he could just be floating around with an ace. He could be trying to punish us or whatever. I'm going to call here. It sucks if if he's got a better flush, but I mean, we have to call here. We have no choice. Okay, and we win it. So I'm getting all mopey for nothing, right? Okay, so he raised us on the turn when he hit two pair, which I think was fair. His bet on the river there, he had to be a little sketched out on the river, but yeah, obviously, okay. So our call was okay there. I don't think you could raise. I mean, he was definitely showing some strength. Obviously, the strength here was a two pair. He might not have even called us though if we raised with his actual hand. I don't know that he would call us. On the river there, if we raised him or whatever. It is worth noting at these stakes, most of the time when a player makes a min raise, it almost certainly means strength. In fact, it's just like almost every time a min raise means strength, because I think most players know that like your raises should be much larger than that if you really want to have any fold equity. So if you're making a really small raise, then you're saying, I don't want fold equity, I want you to call this is all for value. And I mean, in a lot of players, though, they don't really think, they don't really balance that at all, and they're just going to always only do that when they're like, okay, this guy might fold against me unless I make this raise as small as possible. I'm tempted not. Yeah, I'm not going to open here, even though I would normally open with this hand. This guy has been aggressive enough pre-flop that we are backing down a little bit, because it's not a hand that I'll feel like I'm going to call his three bets a little wider now with the way he's playing, but at the same time, I don't want to call with a queen six, even if I'm on the button. I'm not really excited about that hand at all. And even if you are a loose kind of player, it's usually not a mistake to just, to give up on a hand every once in a while. The EV of folding is always 0. You can't think about the money that's already in the pot. Remember, the EV of folding is 0. So every once in a while, you just got to take that 0 EV and try to prevent yourself from making mistakes by calling or whatever or anything else. Here we're going to make kind of normal C-bet. He knows, okay, yeah, he knows always to call us when we don't have a hand and not to when we do. Anyway, I'm kidding. I think I'm going to do one more orbit and then call it, so this will be slightly more than 30 minutes. Thank you for staying with me so far and watching this. I hope it wasn't too boring a session. I mean, I think there were some interesting hands, and even though we got kind of beat up, I think there's still a lot of things to talk about. Woo! Don't mind if I do. I'm not increasing my bet size here because of the hand. Typically from the under the gun, I'm going to increase my bet size of 25. Is just kind of the betting scheme I've adopted. I would love to have a debate, about what people think you need to be opening with these stakes and with this looseness and whatever. But anyway, most of the time I min raise everywhere except the small blind and under the gun. We get a raise here. Oh, that's sexy. It's a min raise too. I think this guy's been fairly aggressive, but he's only been aggressive really when he's had a hand. He's been pretty straightforward with his play. So I'm going to raise him again and maybe make it. I mean, I'll make it. My sizing here will probably be like a $1.35. Let's do a $1.35. I like that. It's going to be a $1.35. I actually have a lot of trouble with 4-bet sizing. Of course, he made a min raise, so like min raise 4-bet siding, especially, is a little worse. I could have just called him there, but I really think so far in the hands we've been seeing him play, he's been playing his aggression pretty straightforward, and that he's been doing the raises when he has a hand. So I thought he might have something like jacks that he was willing to continue with if I 4-bet him or whatever. I mean, and look at the stats, and I mean his 3-bet percentage is 5%. So if we're saying he's within that range, then he, if that was a hand that was in the top 5% of hands, then he probably should be 5-betting or whatever there. All right. By the way, too, I realize I use a lot of jargon when I talk poker. It's it's 'cause I'm used to. We're just going to call here with Small Pocket Bear. I use a lot of jargon. It's normal poker jargon when I talk poker. But again, if it seems like the audience base is kind of lower level, since I am pretty lower level myself. So if you are kind of lower level, or if you just have questions, don't feel embarrassed to ask me questions about some of this stuff. All right, this guy literally has a C-bet percentage of 0 and a pre-flop raise percentage of 15, which is tiny. So normally I would call this C-bet with this hand here, but looking at this guy's stats, well, of course, the C-bet percentage is 0. Okay, he's only bet 4 times or whatever. I'm willing to let this go, because if he bets on the basically on any turn card is bad for us, and if he bets at any turn card again, we can't continue with that hand. Again, we haven't seen him do anything crazy aggressive when he hasn't had a hand. So, other than that previous hands, whatever. So what I was saying was, anyway, if you are a newer player and you don't understand some of the basic jargon and stuff, look it up online and try to learn it. But definitely, if you have a question about it, feel free to ask me. Again, I don't know I don't know if people are going to find this video randomly, or most of you are from the forums, but my home forums are the Something Awful forums. There's a few threads in there and traditional games on poker, and so I tend to hang out in those a lot and talk poker, and that's where I'll be posting the links to these videos and all that. So if you want to discuss these hands in detail, the discussion tends to be very good in those forums, so you can come by and discuss them there, and I'm always happy to talk with you there. And of course, if you comment right here on the YouTube channel, I will respond to that as well. I love comments. Feel free to give me comments. Feel free to give me feedback. You can send me private messages too if you got something you want to say, but you don't want to say in front of a bunch of people. That's fine. Whatever. But yeah, just let me know what you think. Let me know what you thought about the video. Not just the poker, but also if there's stuff about the format you don't like, or you can't hear me on my microphone, or you don't like that I drink. I don't know. Whatever. Whatever comments you might have about my video, please let me know. And we will have one more hand here to play. It's good beer, man. Good beer. But, yeah. And, yeah. I've run out of things to say now, because I just closed down too early on that one. Do we go crazy here? We could go a little crazy, but I don't know. I haven't been feeling... I wasn't feeling super crazy about this session. So we could go crazy here just because there is a post here and there's more money, so there's more incentive to make a big bet and try to take down the pot here. And we do have a hand that's not the worst, but we are under the gun. If I was here, I would certainly be opening, and probably opening big. Under the gun, I'm not going to do it with that hand. For the session, if you care about my bankroll, we ended up down about $2.50, I think, something like that. Let's see. You can't see the whole stat box here, but I'll just read it off to you. Our all-in adjusted equity for this was minus 2.51. So really, for whatever the 43 hands, that's not that that's well within the noise of variance. So I don't feel bad about this session. It kind of sucked. We just couldn't really get a lot of things going. We didn't make very many hands. A couple of hands we did, just people whatever weren't playing, whatever. But if you feel like I messed up big, I mean, there was that one big bluff, so you can tell me how bad that bluff was and all that stuff. But you guys would have been like, oh, that's awesome if I had made that bluff, right? You're like, oh, that's so cool, whatever. No, I think that bluff was good. But anyway, if you don't think that bluff was good, or you think any other way I played any of these other hands was totally crappy, please let me know. And like I said, you can let me know through any of the channels that you see around. If you like the video, you want to see more of it, please comment. If you don't like the video and you don't want to see any more of it, please comment. Like I said, I'm going to try to make it doing a weekly thing. Mondays are actually a pretty good night for me, so they might, although I don't know actually when I get this posted. Probably not, didn't end up till Tuesday or Wednesday. But I'll probably make them Monday nights, so they'll get up Tuesday or Wednesday or something like that. But I'm not making any guarantees at this point. We'll just kind of see how it goes. Anyway, thanks a bunch for watching. I hope you learned something, and have a good one. Adios.